What's up, guys? Today's video is going to be a fun one. There's going to be some feelings, salt, and probably some comments made in the comments section, which are always entertaining for me to read. But for those paying attention, I want you to know I have a statement that I want to give to Jim Ryan. But first, give me one moment to step off camera. I need to grab something and collect my thoughts. You know what? I can't remember what the statement was going to be right now, but I could have swore I had it written down somewhere. But when I find it, I'll let you know. Diving right into the sea of salty feelings, especially when it comes to the Microsoft Activision deal, is Sony's response to the CMA's findings that just came out. Apparently, they weren't happy about how the CMA said that there was going to be no substantial lessening of competition when it came to the buyout. And Sony got really vocal in a almost 11-page document where they had some really choice names for the CMA and statements, and we're gonna cover a few of them right here. And that's where we're just gonna start right off. That they said that the CMA's reversal of its position was surprising and unprecedented, and they are now talking about how their findings understate the gains to Microsoft from foreclosure of Call of Duty, and they're basically predicting that their math was completely wrong. Apparently, Sony went and found Mark Cerny, and him and Jim Ryan got out an Olive Garden napkin and decided to hammer out some of what we call floating math. We all know that fun stuff. And they decided to come out with this figure that apparently Microsoft's gains are actually, the CMA's math is about 70% inaccurate on how much gain Microsoft is going to make from making Call of Duty exclusive to Xbox, even though Xbox has shown that they don't want to do that. And I just really think it's interesting that Sony has come out and they're boo-hooing over potential possibilities of Call of Duty becoming exclusive. Since day one, I have said that is not possible. But even in some of their, in this 11-page document, and the little graph that apparently with all this little, correcting the addendum's errors would triple Microsoft's gains from foreclosure, every bit of that graph has been redacted with like pictures of scissors and bars. Man, I really wish I could just see some of this math. I swear to God. And they're even talking about how the CMA's findings must be securely rooted in the evidence. They cannot leap to any conclusion without robust evidence. Well, isn't that what you're doing, Sony? Leaping to conclusions without robust evidence? You have no way of proving that Microsoft is going to foreclose on Call of Duty. In my opinion, that would be just financially stupid. But, hey. And that is why I have a big-ass microphone filter, if you heard that. And now, moving back on. So, they decided to go back into the whole thing where how Minecraft is not a good figure for this whole situation. They went back down the whole road that Minecraft is like an inferior game. It's blocky graphics and all this other stuff. And the one thing that I thought was really interesting in this whole statement is that they found Minecraft's legacy monetization model of a one-time fee for lifetime access and updates differs significantly from Call of Duty, where users buy the new premium iteration of the game every year for a higher fee. Yes, as you can see, they have just bluntly said it, that Call of Duty players are more than willing to buy that game every single year at a much higher price than they did the previous year. And they decided to go even deeper on the whole exclusive thing, and they have decided to bring out even some current stuff that was released. Let's just dive right into these two statements. The addendum acknowledges that Microsoft's acquisition of ZENIMAX involves a major studio that, like Activision, publishes a regular release of popular gaming franchises available on different platforms. As the CMA is aware, since Microsoft acquired ZeniMax, Microsoft announced that future ZeniMax titles, including Starfield, Elder Scrolls 6, and Redfall, will be Xbox exclusives. In doing so, Microsoft reversed assurances made prior to the ZeniMax acquisition that Microsoft would not have the incentive to cease or limit making ZeniMax games available for purchase on rival consoles, and that it highly encourages cross-platform play because if it's good for the gaming ecosystem, it's good for us. What we'll do in the long run is we don't have intentions of just pulling all of Bethesda content out of Sony. They didn't do that, Sony. They left the contracts in place for Deathloop, and they also left it in there for Ghostwire Tokyo. Game actually comes out here in the next Monday, as a matter of fact, so you lose exclusivity on that one. And just to put it out there, they have not restricted anything. And it's really interesting that you are going to boo-hoo and sob and bitch and complain that that a game was made exclusive on you when you have been holding content back from the Xbox ecosystem since ever. Your strategies actually have put Sega out of business. You have been incentivizing publishers and developers to forget about other ecosystems and to also shelve previous iterations of games. Like, look at Final Fantasy VII, the remake. It was supposed to come out on Xbox. Even Square Enix hinted at that. We never did with Starfield, but apparently you're wanting to believe they did. But you wanted to go double down on that statement. And just last week, 2 days before the addendum was published on March 22nd, the video game trade publication IGN published fresh evidence in the form of an interview with Redfall's creative director Harvey Smith that provides additional insight to Microsoft's strategy. Like Call of Duty, Redfall is a first-person shooter game that features both single-player and cooperative multiplayer modes. In his interview with IGN, Mr. Smith explained that Redfall was originally planned to be released on all platforms, including PlayStation. But once Microsoft acquired Bethesda, there was a huge sea change. Microsoft said, no PlayStation 5. Now we're gonna do Game Pass, Xbox, and PC. He also explained that ZeniMax was working on a PlayStation 5 version of the game until Microsoft bought ZeniMax. Kinda like you cut Square Enix a check. Doesn't feel good, does it? But you have made a very large reputation out of being a predominant game publisher / developer over the years by in your statements in this thing that you push innovation. And in my opinion, the only innovation you have pushed is the innovation of the third-party, over-the-shoulder, cinematically driven experience. You have completely let multiplayer fall to the wayside with titles like Resistance: The Fall of Man and Killzone. You are even downplaying Bungie's Destiny 2, saying that Call of Duty eclipses the interactive or the live player count and the money that Destiny makes, where Call of Duty makes a lot more money. There's a lot more player base over there. Basically, according to your statements, your own company, Bungie, with Destiny, can't hold a flame to Call of Duty. And you've even made previous statements that apparently Call of Duty's player base and revenue eclipses even all of your first-party titles combined. That's not the feeling I get when I see you hyping stuff on the internet, you know. Oh, God of War Ragnarok, a million sold, then the Spider-Man, this many million sold. Well, now all of a sudden that's not true. Well, which one is it, Sony? Have you been lying? Which lie is the lie and which one is the truth? But that's where if you want to really have a good fun read, go through some of their stuff in here. That they spend almost 11 pages crying to the CMA about their whole reversal on the situation. They've even gone as far as calling the CMA irrational. Nothing like calling the regulators that literally hold the fate of what your desires are for the gaming industry, that you are calling them irrational. Yeah, just call them names. We all know that works. And you even in the document talk about how gamers regularly discuss and compare their console games. Conversations in forums, chat rooms, and public gaming sessions confirm that gamers are very conscious of the slightest change in a gamer's performance, in a game's performance, and as the highly confidential figure below shows, details such as crashes, freezes, and glitches, as well as graphics and load times have a significant impact on consumer satisfaction. As Sony Entertainment Interactive CEO Jim Ryan explained to the CMA at the Remedies hearing, if PlayStation received a degraded version of Call of Duty, it would seriously damage our reputation. Our gamers would desert our platform in droves, and network effects would exacerbate the problem. Our business would never recover. Okay, Jim Ryan, if you're listening, and I know there's a fat chance in a cold day in HEL before that's ever going to happen, but if you are, I have over 400 and some games in my digital locker on Xbox. That is not something I can walk away. There is for the people that have made a large, significant financial investment into your ecosystem, they are not just going to walk away from that, never to return. At that point, hey, they gave you free money. But I'm just wanting to point out that I really do not believe people would walk away from that. And you're so worried about your reputation. I'm sorry, but this is not towards the PlayStation brand. This is towards Sony, the executives, and the people in charge over there. Your reputation is not very good, at least in my eyes. And for anybody who actually stays informed and likes to read fine print, your reputation is not that good. Just go on to Consumer Affairs, Better Business Bureau, check out the amount of complaints you have for the situation with your with your return policy or lack thereof, and holding people responsible for fraudulent charges on their accounts. And if by some chance they go bankrupt because of these charges and they try to file a chargeback, you'll just take back their entire game library. You have some serious work to do on your reputation, and Call of Duty and having it over on your console is not going to fix that reputation. The only thing that you are going to have problems with the Call of Duty situation is you're going to be on a level playing field, and you're just going to have to work harder, because why? No one owes you a damn thing. And you have had a stranglehold on the industry for far too long, and it is time for a monkey wrench to be thrown into the gaming industry cogs, and we are going to see a new gaming industry evolve, and it's going to be interesting to see where all the cards fall and how you are going to adapt. Or are we just going to literally stand in the middle of the room kicking, screaming, and crying the entire time, hoping to get your way and get a cookie? Hey, I mean, this is just me being blunt. For the more stuff, please stay tuned. I enjoy talking about this with everybody. This is just my opinion. I just really feel that at this point in time, we're starting to see Sony's real intentions coming out and the real way they act. And it's going to be really, really interesting as it gets closer and closer as to when Microsoft is going to close out this deal and, in my opinion, more than likely get Activision Blizzard under their portfolio of games. And Sony is going to be able to be forced to compete in a manner that they are unaccustomed to, and they just can't throw money at everything. They're actually going to have true innovation and true revolutionary gaming ideas. They just can't keep throwing money at it. Like even the world of Marvel is starting to wane. Hopefully, Spider-Man 2 turns out well, and Wolverine. Considering there is some severe issues over in the Marvel camp on the Disney side, but that's a total different subject for another day. But for those interested in keeping up with all the ABK deal, my crazy ass opinions, and my overall content, please like, subscribe down below. Check out the other videos down in the playlists. Also, be sure to click the video on the end card here. Check out my last video. I really appreciate everybody stopping in here, checking out the video. Even if you're here to hate on me or just be very critical, still, you're taking time out of your day to visit me, and it's always an honor for me to be able to have you focus your attention on me. So really, thank you everyone for checking me out. Stay tuned for more. Until next time, I am Centurion 1307, and you guys have yourselves a good day.